Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Road to Wrestlemania, the red carpet Wrestlemania here on UCLA Radio. For us today, we've got an awesome guest all the way from Saudi Arabia. He's a digital graphic designer for a lot of wrestlers for the WWE and the personal graphic design guy for the one and only Chris Jericho. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Abdulmalik Ali. Kef halak? How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. Such an honor.
Yeah, we're really excited to have you here. So the reason I wanted to have you on is because I'm a huge fan of all the work that you do and promoting wrestling and promoting wrestlers and also, working with WWE when they came to Saudi Arabia. So the first thing I wanted to ask is what got you into graphic design itself?
I started when I used to do reviews for wrestling pay-per-views. I needed to learn how to design so I can make the page,
Right.
in the wrestling forms, So that's how I started to learn how to design.
Yeah, no, I do like wrestling pay-per-view reviews and things like that sometimes as well. I never did any good at graphic design like you, but it's funny to hear we had kind of the same story.
It took time.
Yeah.
Like right now, I started from 10 years ago.
Yeah,
so
that's a long time.
Oh yeah.
And what got you into wrestling itself? Obviously, I know how it is being from the Middle East. Everyone sort of watches it when you're a kid. How come, not everyone sticks on? So what is it about WWE and professional wrestling that for you made you, still be a fan all the way to this day?
From my family, from my grandfather, he used to watch it, and my brothers passed it on me,
Mm-hmm. So when you were a kid, what did you watch? Were you around the Attitude Era or before that even?
I think so. 2001, 2002.
Right.
So I was hooked.
Near the end of the Attitude Era. Do you have a certain match that really got you hooked or a certain wrestler?
I don't remember exactly, but my brothers always tells me that Shawn Michaels and Big Show and The Undertaker are my first favorite wrestlers. I don't remember that, but...
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, those guys were huge around that time. So I wanted to ask, who are you watching now? What do you like now? Obviously, I know you work for a lot of wrestlers, and we'll definitely get into that. But are you watching just WWE, AEW, Ring of Honor, anything else?
Everything. I watch AEW, WWE, New Japan. Not much like I used to be, But my favorite wrestlers?
Yeah. Who are they now?
In WWE, like Daniel Bryan, maybe Sasha Banks, Bailey. And AEW right now, of course, Chris Jericho. And the Sting, who returned. And Kenny Omega, of course.
Oh, yeah. See, that's just a great list there. So I wanted to ask you, what is it like being a fan of wrestling? Obviously, I know what it's like being a fan in the Middle East and how it just kind of, the way the product is presented over there is different as to how it is in the United States. But maybe you could explain to people what it is like being a wrestling fan somewhere where, for the longest time, WWE is never going to come to Saudi until the deal happened a couple of years ago. So what was it like, being so far away?
It used to be a dream to just have WWE in the Middle East, So when they came in 2014, they came for a house show. I couldn't believe it, So,
did you get to meet anyone there?
No, just a fan. It took time, like maybe 4 years until I got the chance to meet Jericho.
Mm-hmm. So let's get into that. When did you start working with or for Chris Jericho? Did you just start posting stuff online and he saw it?
Yes, I posted a design of a match he will have with Hideo Itami.
Mm-hmm.
They had a match in Japan.
Yeah.
So when I saw it was leaked that they will have a match, So I designed the poster and posted it on Twitter, And Jericho saw it and he followed me he loved the artwork, and that's how it started. Yeah.
So when was the first time he contacted you and said, "Hey, can you make me something?" What was that like?
I couldn't believe it. You know, I prayed after after I saw him in my direct messages.
No, I know exactly what you mean because Chris Jericho is my favorite wrestler of all time. So, after he approaches you first, what's the first piece of artwork he asked you to make for him?
I don't remember. Maybe if I the Judas, the music video, it had like 2 million views. So he asked me to design something to announce it on his social media.
Yeah. So you did that. Are you a fan of Fozzy as well, or is it that just more because Jericho asked you?
It started from Judas. I love that song. It was like the theme song for one of NXT's pay-per-views.
Yeah.
So that was awesome.
Okay, cool. So since working with Chris Jericho, you said you had the chance to meet him in Saudi Arabia. So how did that all come about? I know you designed the graphic for his podcast, Talk is Jericho. Was it through that he approached you and said, "Hey, let's meet up when we're coming there to do the what was that first event?"
It was actually one of the workers in WWE Middle East who contacted me to meet Jericho in the Greatest Royal Rumble pay-per-view.
Greatest Royal Rumble, yeah, that's the one.
Yes.
And when that happened, what was that like for you? Finally meeting someone who you've looked up to and then worked for so long.
I just froze. I was just seeing him like someone I watched from 20 years. He was one of my favorites, so it was a dream come true.
And what did he tell you when you finally met him? Did he thank you for all the graphic design you've done, or?
The first thing he said, "So you are real," because that's the first time he saw my face in Jeddah. So that.
And from there, obviously, you got to stay and to watch the show itself. What was that like? Obviously, the shows presented in Saudi Arabia, they're different from the ones in the Middle East because it's a huge open stadium. The WWE are billing it like it was bigger than WrestleMania even. So what was that like?
The first show, to be honest, was not the best, but it was like good. Like they had all the stars in it. The John Cena and Triple H match was good too, if you remember.
Yeah. What's your favorite match you've seen live so far?
Oh, wow. Maybe from the house shows before the pay-per-views. Like in 2014. That show was amazing. Like they had Cesaro versus Sami Zayn. That was awesome. Okay. Yes. Before he got called to the main roster. So it was great.
Oh, because I was that is awesome.
Because I was an NXT fan, So it was amazing seeing it the first time. Yeah,
and so another thing I wanted to talk to you about is also you've done a lot of graphics hyping up the first women's match in Saudi Arabia and the Sasha Banks match that happened in Abu Dhabi. So I wanted to talk to you about what was it like finally seeing a woman get to wrestle in Saudi Arabia, and did you think that would ever happen?
It was like finally, It was something like you could dream about, like you couldn't dream about. So it was amazing seeing them wrestle in Abu Dhabi and last year in Riyadh.
So I want to ask you that right now because literally my wallpaper on my phone right now is that piece you made of Sasha Banks with the titles going down the middle and the little girl on the right for you. So I just wanted to ask you, what is your process in coming up with a piece? Because I thought that was so creative where you had the words in her diary on the back of it. Like, how do you visualize this? And then technically speaking, like, what do you do to put it together?
I always think of story to tell, something that the viewer would like be contacted with, like emotionally,
Mhm.
So that's mostly how I approach it, every design, to involve a story.
And so when you have that piece, say for example the Sasha Banks one, I genuinely wanted to ask, like, well, what programs do you use, and how do you put it all together? Do you have to
In
like cut
Photoshop.
out? Everything's done on Photoshop. Do you hand
Yes.
draw anything?
No, not yet. It's
So
hard
you
enough.
just think about it and then you put it all together over there.
Yes, I think about ideas that would make stand out,
Hmm.
so I could get noticed.
I mean, it's
And
definitely worked.
yeah.
So correct me if I'm wrong. You've had the chance to meet Sasha Banks as well, right?
Oh yes, in
So yeah, what was
Dubai.
it like meeting her? Did you get to meet her in Saudi Arabia, or did you come to the States? What was it?
No, it was in Dubai,
Dubai. Okay.
2018. It was amazing because I'm such a big fan of her. She is arguably the best woman wrestler of all time.
Hmm.
So it was
And
amazing meeting her, and she was so nice to me.
I mean, she can just be one of the greatest men's or women's just because of the amount of work that she's done. So I really appreciate that you've been putting in the work to promote the women just as much as the men. So I want to come back to a lot of your work with Chris Jericho. Do you have a favorite piece that you've made for him so far? Because I think there's a lot of ones that stand out. All the ones of the Jericho Cruise or his matches against people like Omega or Sting, the one you put out recently. Which one is your favorite?
That's tough because it's a lot, But one of the last one I made was for his 50th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when his dad holding him like the Lion King.
Yeah.
So that's probably my favorite.
Oh, that's awesome. So when you're working with him, does he have any creative input, or does he just kind of tell you, I want something for this event, and he just lets you do your work?
He just lets me do whatever I want to do, and then maybe he would edit the text. Like, he's way better than me in advertisement.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah. What else have you learned from him that you say you probably wouldn't have learned unless you work with him the way you do?
That's it. Like advertisement. I don't know anything about that. I just the only thing I know is just to make things look fine, I guess.
I mean, you make them look better than fine. That's why every time you post an image like that, and Jericho or Sasha Banks, someone promotes it, it always goes viral. What has your relationship been like with WWE? Obviously, you told me there was the WWE Middle East worker that contacted you. Do you keep in touch with them, and have they reached out to you directly to make pieces?
Yeah, to this day. Like in last year, I made an artwork for Becky Lynch when she came to Dubai. So it was great meeting her there. And 2 months ago, they asked me to do an artwork for The Undertaker.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Which ended up being all the Undertaker's characters from the 30 years he had in WWE.
Yeah. So out of your pieces that you've done with WWE, would you say that Undertaker one is your favorite? Because obviously, he is just one of the greatest out there.
That was amazing as well. It's so hard. Maybe the This Is Hope artwork that I did for Sasha Banks and Alexa Bliss match they had in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah. No, I mean that's a great piece as well. I wanted to ask you, what do you do in Saudi Arabia? I'm sure are you a graphic designer full time? Because you said you started doing this from pay-per-view reviews.
Yes, a graphic designer, like hoping to get a job from any company like AEW, WWE, any big company, to secure like a living,
Mm-hmm.
But right now, a graphic designer, only a graphic designer.
Okay, gotcha. And what do you see in your future as your goals? Obviously, you say you want to work with WWE or AEW full time. Do you have any specific wrestlers you want to work with and make a graphic for that you haven't had the chance to yet?
A lot. a lot
If you could
from
give me your
both.
top three, who would that be?
Yeah, the first one, Triple H. I just want to pick his mind on everything. He's a genius, you know. And maybe Stephanie McMahon.
Mm-hmm.
She have a book, and I don't know, maybe next year. So I'm hoping that I will get the job
That's
to
awesome.
design the book. I don't know if it's going to happen. It's probably not, but
I mean,
I'm
hey,
hoping.
it's best to put it out there, right? Because then
Yeah.
someone will maybe see this and they'll tell Stephanie just like that work contacted you.
I'm hoping. I'm hoping so, man.
We had a little bit of technical difficulties, but we're back. Everything's fine. Okay, yeah. So I just wanted to ask you. So, in the future, when you look back, what do you want your legacy to be on the world of professional wrestling? I mean, you've already touched so many people with the work that you've made. What do you want people to remember you as?
I have a lot of big dreams, like something you would laugh at, but like I want like everyone like in the pro wrestling world to know like how good I'm at designing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I want everyone to know.
I mean, for anyone who has seen your work, they already know that. So it's just a question of having more people see your work. And I'm sure like being connected with Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask, in the world of graphic design, it's such an important part of art in today's world. So I wanted to ask, do you have any influences? I mean, one person I can think of straight off the bat who your work reminds me of is another Arab guy in Boss Logic. So do you have any influence from him or?
Oh, really? He's an Arab?
Yeah, he's Lebanese.
Oh, wow. That's the first time I hear about it. But he's arguably the best graphic designer in the world.
Yeah, did you take inspiration from him, or was it just sort of you discovered him later on?
Yeah. He inspired me to mix the storytelling with making things look good. That's what I got from him.
Yeah, and I mean, you and Boss Logic, you're my two favorite digital artists out there. So it's a good person to be inspired by. Aside from wrestling, is there any other, form that you want to, put your work into? Is there anything else you have interest in, like, movies or like football or something like that?
A lot of things, but like, as you know, from 4 years ago, like I put my life into this, like 100% into wrestling and learning more and more in designing to, inshallah, one of the days to achieve my dreams.
Have you had the chance to come to the States and watch wrestling here yet?
No.
one day.
One day, inshallah. It's one of my dreams to make it in the United States.
And you have to come and you've got to see Wrestlemania. So obviously this year, hopefully, we're getting Wrestlemania in Los Angeles, which is what I'm hoping for. But even if that doesn't happen, one day or sometime in the future, you got to come out here and meet everyone you've made work off in person.
That would be amazing. It was a dream of mine since a long time ago.
Okay, so yeah, the final thing I just wanted to ask you is, for anyone out there who's like you, who's a graphic designer or just an artist, or looking to get into this business in some way, shape, or form, in the way you have, what would you tell them, and what advice would you give them, especially considering how much contact you have with a lot of professional wrestlers?
Just be different. That's how I got noticed. Just be different and take chances. Like, don't humiliate me or Boss Logic or anyone. Just be you. Just be different. Like, so people can recognize that you made this artwork.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's really inspiring, and it's good to see that you have a game plan out there, which is be different, do all the work you can to learn more, and then you have that dream out there and you put it out there. So really glad to be able to talk to you. I'm a huge fan of yours. I have like all of your pieces downloaded in my phone. and sometimes I'll switch them out as my wallpapers and things like that. So just for that, thank you. But also thank you for what you do to promote wrestling in the Middle East and everything like that.
No, thank you so much, man. It's so honored to be here. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you for listening, everybody. Where can they find you? What's your Instagram and Twitter handles?
97 Abdulmalik on Twitter and Instagram.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks so much.